2 days before boarding, my mother leaned against the kitchen counter, sipping coffee like she was delivering a weather report. "They wouldn't even appreciate it," she said. "We're going instead." My sister didn't even look up from her phone. "They can watch our stories instead." Their words didn't sting, not yet. They simply landed and sat there, heavy and sour. I stirred my tea once, twice, and smiled. They thought the smile meant surrender. It wasn't. I'd saved for that cruise for 3 years. Not for me, never for me. It was for the two people who raised me when my parents were too busy living their own lives. My grandparents had been married for 38 years, and every Sunday dinner they'd talk about the cruise they almost took but couldn't afford back then. It became my mission. I wanted them on that ship, seeing sunrises over open water, eating meals they didn't have to cook, dancing in the evenings like they used to. I booked the best cabin, champagne waiting in their room, the works. But I'd been watching my mother and sister for a while. There's a tone people take when they think they're entitled to what's yours. Little digs about wasting money or doing too much. Snide glances at my paychecks. Still, I never expected them to steal it outright. When they announced their decision, it wasn't a discussion. They spoke like it was already done. The tickets were under my name, but the thought of my grandparents finding out they'd been replaced was unbearable. So I didn't tell them. And I didn't argue. I planned. The cruise director was an old college friend, Sam, the kind of guy who knew every moving part of a ship and every loophole in the system. I called him that night. "Hypothetically," I said, "what happens if the main guests can't make it, and the replacements aren't on the manifest yet?" Sam chuckled. "Hypothetically? They don't get on the ship. Security at port checks IDs against the list. If the names aren't there..." He let the silence finish the sentence. I told him my hypothetical in full. 3 minutes later, my mother and sister's names vanished from every record. The next morning, my mother found an envelope on the kitchen table. My grandmother's handwriting. Inside, a short note. "The papers have changed. Can't explain now. Just know we'll see you soon. Love, Mom." I had forged it the night before, matching every loop and curl of her letters. My mother looked puzzled, maybe a little worried. She called my grandmother. No answer. She called again, straight to voicemail. I watched her pour another cup of coffee, her mind chewing on a problem she didn't understand. Boarding day came. I offered them a ride to the port. They declined, insisting they'd take an Uber. Good. I wanted space. By the time they reached the check-in gate, I was already at the other end of the pier, hidden in the crowd. I saw the moment it happened. The gate agent scanned their documents, frowned, tried again. She tapped something on her tablet, then shook her head. My sister's smile faltered. My mother's brows knit together. They argued, first with the agent, then with a supervisor. But rules are rules. If your name isn't on the manifest, you're not getting on board. Security escorted them away. Meanwhile, my grandparents were already in their cabin, luggage neatly stored, sipping the champagne I'd arranged. I'd driven them there myself that morning under the guise of helping with a surprise trip. They thought I was just dropping them off at a hotel for a night in the city. They didn't know the truth until the porter took their bags and the boarding passes appeared in their hands. My grandmother's eyes welled up. My grandfather kept clearing his throat like he was holding back a lump. I didn't stay to see the ship leave. I wanted them to have that moment for themselves. By the time my mother and sister returned home, I was already there. They came through the door like a storm, bags thumping against the floor, voices high and sharp. "What the hell did you do?" my mother demanded. "Me?" I tilted my head. "I thought you were on a cruise." "We got there and..." My sister's face was flushed. "They said we weren't on the list. The tickets were void." "That's strange," I said, keeping my tone light. "I guess there was a mix-up. Maybe the names got switched." They stared at me. My mother's voice dropped. Where are they? I smiled. On a ship, where they belong. There was no yelling after that, just silence. Heavy, charged silence. The kind that says, "You've lost." For the next 10 days, my mother and sister scrolled through social media, watching my grandparents' photos, sunsets, dinners, dance floors. My grandparents didn't tag me in a single one. It was our secret. When the ship docked again, I picked them up. They were glowing. My grandmother said it was the best gift she